Hey guys, Rex here. Welcome back to another episode of my Skyblock API tutorial series. Today you're going to learn how to get all the data from Auction House. So getting all that stuff in coding environment, all the stuff on the auction. You're going to learn how to set up basic filters, okay? And then you're going to learn how to put those items through that filter to only get the items you care about, okay? So for example, today, very simple, we're going to try and get every item on the auction house that is a drill. Okay, so every item that has the word drill in it. I asked a friend what's an item that he thinks might be on the auction house, but not too many of it, and he says drills. Apparently that's the hot new thing people care about because there's some mining update and people care about mining fast or something. I don't know. Classic Skyblock stuff. Step one. Okay, step one, getting data from the auction house. Let's go do that. Before we do that though, we need to know what that data looks like on the auction house. I'm going to show you guys what that looks like right here. I got a few tabs open to show you guys here. Bit of a teaching lesson. To get here, you're going to go on api.hypixel.net and you're going to click on Hypixel API docs. These are the API docs. This is how you learn how to access data on the API. If you want to get to where we're at, you're just going to go under Skyblock here, and then you're going to head down to active auctions here. And under this section, you'll see there's an optional page parameter, and this is how you access it. So this is the page we're going to go to. The URL for this is going to be api.hypixel.net/skyblock/auctions. Okay. And you're going to see in a minute how we code that. And this is what it looks like. So it gives us the current page that we're accessing. By default, we can give it a page. So this gives page 0, but you can also manually put in page 0 like I've done here. You can't see it though because I've got the URL blocker, but this is also page 0, and this is what it looks like if you get page 1. Okay, so it's actually the second page because it's index, remember? So index 0 is actually the first page, index 1 is actually the second page, so you just add 1, right? Similar to when you work with like lists and stuff like this. It gives you the maximum amount of pages, the total amount of auctions. So if you do some quick math, you can notice that there's at most 1,000 items per page. This is how they do it. And you can see on the first page, if I open this up, scroll all the way to the bottom, it stops at 999 and it started at 0, remember? So there's exactly 1,000 items here, and there'll be 1,000 on the second page, 1,000 on the third page, etc. And then also when it was last updated. We're going to focus on getting all the data from every page today, and then passing that through a filter. Step one, let's go back to our code, and let's get this data from the API. Let me just, whoa, what's going on? There we go. Let's create a new function here, and I'm just going to copy paste this framework, but we want to do something outside of that. And so let's go ahead and do this. Step one, we're going to call this, we're going to make our header first. It's going to return a list of all active auctions, okay? This is going to get us all our active auctions. And this is going to be called get auction data, okay? And brief reminder while I've thought of it, if you want to access the live code here, go ahead and check it out over on my GitHub. There's a link down in the description to my GitHub. There's a repository for this project called Skyblock Utils, and you can get all of this code. If you've seen the code in any of my Skyblock tutorial series, okay, all the Skyblock API tutorial series episodes, you can just get that code anytime you want. It's free, it's open source, it's there for you to take it and use it. All right. And if you want a little bit more, if you're thinking like, oh, I can't wait for next episode, there's also a link to my Patreon if you want to support me and all the videos I make. Go ahead and sub my Patreon for as low as like $2 American a day. Not a day. Jesus Christ, that'd be so much. It's like $2 American a month. It's literally like not even a third or not even a quarter of what a one-person Netflix subscription is. It's crazy cheap. You can go ahead and do that. You can get a full 1 week advance at least on all my Skyblock tutorial series and all my other coding videos, really. So feel free to check that out if you wish. I'm mentioning it now because I've actually put a little more effort into the Patreon. People are actually starting to use it for some reason, which is weird. Shout out to my Patreons, by the way. I think the one guy, he's on my Discord. He goes by 1979 something Toyota Corolla or whatever. So shout out to that guy. And then There's a few other people who have been mentioning that they might sub, so we'll see. So far, just the one guy left. If you want to be in my next video where I'm actually going to make a list of these subs, feel free to check that out. Anyways, enough of that junk. Let's go into creating this function here. So we're going to start, and the way I like doing this is at the server function, we set up a new empty bucket, and then we do whatever inside the function to put stuff in the bucket. And then at the end, we just return the bucket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a bucket called all auctions like that. And then at the bottom, I'm going to return all auctions just like that. Step one is getting the first page because we know the first page is always going to be there, and we need the first page to be able to know how many pages there are in total, right? To know which pages to get, we need to know how many they are. So we're going to get the first page, and to do that, we're just going to do this. And then instead of auctions ended, it's just going to be auctions. Okay. And just to make sure we're getting page 0, we're going to add that. This is just like a mental thing. So when people read my code, they're going to know this is always getting page 0. If you don't pay page 0, it can get a little confusing sometimes for some people, I think. And then, of course, we want to extract the auction data from that. Now I'm going to go ahead back to my Firefox real quick. I want to show you guys the way this is formatted is it's under auctions. We have to dig deep into auctions, and then this is our auction data. This is what these look like, by the way. So this is a pair of Ender leggings. Okay, it's an Epic armor. It's a pair of pants, I think. And there's a lot of data for you. You can see there's like bids, quite a few bids. People are, how much is someone paying for this? 35K. The first guy was willing to pay 10K. Oh, nice. And you see there's a highest bid. There's a ton of stuff. Okay. Anyways, let's go back to the code now. I'm just gonna transfer this. There we go. So it's under auctions. We have to grab the auction data. So we're just gonna set this to the first page .get auctions. And if that doesn't work, then give it an empty list, because that means that there's nothing on the auction list. This is rare. Now the code that we're about to write, I know and I understand full well that it is fragile, okay? It can break, but it won't break, okay? It won't break because for it to break, there needs to be like some funky edge cases. In the future, there's a good chance that we come back to this and clean up all the code, but that's me in the future, not me in the present. So we're gonna write a little bit funky code, but it's funky code that you can rely on because it's going to work for the most part. Now we're going to create a loop. We're creating a loop because now that we have the page, which is stored under the variable total pages, camel case format. Sorry about that, guys. My headset really just turned off on me for some reason. I hate this headset. I need to get a new one soon. We're going to create a loop because we have the amount of pages. So we know we have page 0 and we have the maximum. We got to get all the pages in between. So we got to get the numbers for those pages. So if it's 0 to 10, we got to get page 1. We got to get page 2, page 3. But to get page 1, 2, 3, we need to get the numbers 1, 2, 3. So we're getting those numbers. So we're going to get 4 page in range, and it's going to be 1. And then we're going to do first page dot get. And this is going to be total pages, and if it doesn't work, give it 0 and then +1. So what this is going to do is if the total amount of pages is there's 60 pages, or let's say there's 10 pages, it'll do from 1 to 10 plus 1, which is 11. That +1 should be there, I think. I don't, it's funky code. Without the +1, I think I'm missing the last page, but I don't know. It's 3 a.m. My brain's fried. I gotta wake up early tomorrow morning. I'm tired. I had a lot to do today. I think I've been awake for almost 24 hours now. But it's time to make coding episodes. We're doing this. Now the current page is always going to be, now that we're looping through, we're getting all the numbers using our range function. Here we're going to make this a formatted string. For those who don't know, you can just put an F in front of it and it becomes a formatted string. And now we can put variables into the string. So the variable we're going to be putting into the page. So what this does is the first time that it loops through, it's going to get page 1, next time it's going to get page 2, next time it's going to get page 3, and those are all going to be under the variable current page. And after we're doing that, we got one more line of code, and that code is taking all the auctions from that page and adding them to our bin of overall auctions here. So we're going to do this dot append, and it's going to be current page dot get auctions, just like that. Not dot append. Oh God, I am not very smart, am I? Jesus. Plus equals. Plus equals is how you merge two lists. If you have two lists, like 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, you can plus them together to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all in one list. Beautiful, isn't it? Very Pythonic. Now this function should work. Hopefully I didn't make any mistakes. That's that done. So now we're getting every item. And we can write a quick line of code to show how many items there are. I think it's interesting to see how many items there are on the thing. So to do that, we're going to add a print statement here to our massive hoard. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to store the variable because we're planning on using this later. So we're going to store auction data as equal to get auction data, just like that. And then we're going to do print another f string, and it's going to be amount of auction items. This is the amount of items on the auction house, but like shorter. And in here, we're just going to put the length of the auction data. This is the list of every item on the auction house. I don't want to print out hundreds and thousands of lines of stuff. So if you think there's like 60,000 items on the auction house, and then each one of those are 10 lines or 15 lines. That's, 600,000 lines to put out in my console. That's too much. So we're just going to put a number, just how many items. That's the length of the list. Now we're going to get into filtering here. So to filter, very simple. Step 1, make your filter. So we're going to make the most basic of basic filters. This episode is not for big filtering. If you've seen my auction scraper episode, and you got confused by the filters, I know. And that's why I'm going back to making basic filters for this episode, because I don't want to confuse people like I once did. Okay? So we're going to create a filter where it's going to match for the name containing the word drill. Okay? This filter isn't like some thing that exists at Hypixel. This is like something that I am inventing. Okay? Not to say I invented the idea of a filter, but this is something that I am creating. It doesn't have to be under this format. This is just how I write my filters. Okay, some people got stuck on that when they were watching my auction scraper episode that I made several months ago. If you didn't know, I made an auction scraper episode many months ago, but people are getting stuck on this because they were like, what is this filter thing? Where's the docs for all this? Blah, blah, blah. There is no docs. I made this. This is something that I designed. I designed the format for this. You can make your own format if you want. I don't care, man, or woman. Although statistically speaking, you're probably a man watching this. I think last time I checked my stats, it's only like 3% of you guys are female, which is expected. Maybe we can up that number in the near future. And then once we've got our filter, then we just gotta, like I said, we're gonna pass the fish through the net. So if you don't remember me saying that, it's because I said it the last time I tried recording this episode, not this time trying to record it. So this is how filtering works, okay? Imagine we've got a river and there's a ton of fish trying to go through the river. And the fish are actually the items on the auction house. Our filter is a big net. So on one side, there's me with the net, and on the other side of the river, there's my friend Jimmy. And I'm going to throw this net so that I have one side and Jimmy has the other side. We're going to dip it in the water so it's covering the entire river. Now, the fish we care about, which are going to be the ones with our filter, these are going to be the big fish. These guys get stuck in the net. The little fish that we don't care about, the ones that don't fit our filter, they get to swim through. And then after we've passed all the fish that we want through the net, then we pick up the net, so Jimmy gives me back his side of the net. And now we have all our fish stuck in the net, and then we can just like sort of scrape them off into the bucket. So let's do that. So we're going to make a new function, def filter auction items. And this is going to take in two parameters. It's going to take in the items, and it's going to take in the filter, okay? And then here it's going to returns auction items after passing them through the filter. There we go. Then here, like I said, we're going to make our bucket, and we're going to return our bucket. And then we're going to see what to put in our bucket. Once again, this is super simple. It's literally like 3 lines, man. It's just, yeah. First thing, for every item, so we're going to check individually one fish at a time if it fits through the net. So for auction and auction data. And then once we've picked up all the fish one at a time, we're then going to see how big they are compared to our net. So we're going to, I think my net idea isn't working as well. Think of it as catching every fish in a pond or in a lake and then manually measuring them with like a tape measure. So our tape measure is going to be their name. The name of the fish, if it includes the word drill. If the fish's name includes the word drill or whatever you put here, then we're going to keep the fish. And otherwise, he gets to go back in the lake. But he goes back in the lake, like a different lake. So, oh god, this is an amazing episode. I really hope you guys are watching this. I feel bad for those who didn't, who decided to watch this episode. Jesus. So we're gonna check if the name drill is in the fish's name. So the fish's name is it's gonna be under item name. This is the code name on the API. This is not something I'm inventing. This is on the API. The name of auction items are under the thing item name. And if it can't get it for whatever reason, then default on emptiness. Just like my feelings after my girl left me. Anyways, we're then gonna throw all the fish that have the name or the word drill in their name. Uh, we're gonna put them in the bucket. Here we can dot append auction. Okay, there we go. Let's add a quick print statement, and this is why we did this earlier. We're actually gonna reuse this data. So we're gonna do this. How many fish are named drill in this lake? Let's find it. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna filtered auction items. I really hope you guys find that as funny as I do, because if you don't, that's gonna be a very weird thing to watch. We're gonna get the length. Once again, I want to print out hundreds of lines. And it's gonna be filter, what did I call it? Filter auction items. And that takes 2 things. It'll take the auction data, but it also takes our item filter. Now, what do you get when you run all this code? Because we're now done coding for today. You get this. Okay, you see this? So, we need to go back and fix something. Nothing's broken, it just doesn't look good. I forgot to add the commas. You see the commas? I gotta add the commas. But we've got all the stuff from last episode, the previous 4. That's episode number 5. If you haven't watched previous 4, you probably aren't smart. And then here, there's the total amount of auctions item on the auction right now, which it went down a bit since I opened up the Firefox tab. This is the amount of drills, or not necessarily the amount of drills, but the amount of things on the auction house with the word drill in their name, right? If you have a fish named drill, it's still a fish, it's not a drill, but for the purpose of our idea, it actually is a drill, I think. But anyways, one last thing before we end here. Let's just add these bad boys, okay, so that it properly filters. All right. And this code is not fast. There's like some synchronous versus asynchronous stuff I want to talk about later on, but that's for a different episode. That's it for this episode. This is a bit of a long episode, a hefty, 20-minute episode. Anyways, if you have any questions, you can either comment down the description down below, not description, comment in the comments down below, where you can expect 2 to 5 business day response time, or join my Discord and get a response time anywhere between 2 seconds and like 2 days. Usually within a couple of hours, someone will respond to you, and if no one responds to you, or I will just respond to you within a day, probably, no matter what. Or you ask a really stupid question, and I'll tell you to ask a question a different way. or I'll try to figure out what you actually mean because you don't speak English, which has happened. Anyways, yeah, link to that Discord down in the description down below. Go check out my Patreon. Find all this on GitHub. Like the video, please. I'm begging you because I have nothing else to do. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.